Every time I hear that music, I'm always centered and feel a little more at peace. It's very soothing. Um, yeah. What's up, man?
Hey man, it's just another day in paradise.
Another day indeed. We are back with another tape press play because we love you so much. We could not give you something on these weekend hits when we got stuff going on. But
Yep.
what are we talking about today?
So recently, Microsoft has been in the news because the Video Game Awards, was a week ago today, correct?
Sure.
And a lot of people are commenting that there were no first party titles at the Video Game Awards for Microsoft, which some people were wondering, is that because of the little kerfuffle that's going on with Microsoft trying to buy Activision? The morning of the Video Game Awards, the FTC decided to sue um, and stop the deal from Microsoft acquiring Activision.
Activision
Um,
Blizzard.
Activision Blizzard, thank you.
Mhm.
Here it is, December December the 8th, 2022, from the FTC site. FTC seeks to block Microsoft Corp's acquisition of Activision Blizzard Incorporated. Agency alleges that the maker of Xbox would gain control of top video game franchises, enabling it to harm competition in high performance gaming consoles and subscription services by denying or degrading rivals access to its popular content. And I thought that was an interesting take, but it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense that would be the reason why Microsoft did not have a good showing of their first party titles, considering how bad they have been at not having first party titles, exclusives or things of that nature.
Hmm.
So I just thought we should talk about it. What's going on with this deal? You had mentioned that you did not believe that the FTC had a case, that it would be very hard to prove. Um,
Well, let me go as my Southern legal lawyer
okay,
expertise. I'm just,
I wish you had a hat too, like a Southern
yeah,
hat, and you had an accent. Like, well, let me tell you, kind of like
yeah.
government, Governor
Governor
McMaster.
McMaster, yeah.
Yep, Foghorn Leghorn.
Say what you want. He has a great accent, good
Oh,
to use for stuff like this.
I want him
Um,
to say chicken hawk one day.
oh gosh, yeah. But for me, I think the case is not as strong as they think because I don't know how well the FTC knows the video game environment. In my mind, I feel like they're trying to do the right thing. Like, oh, they don't want somebody to gain a particular monopoly, which is fine. But Xbox and Microsoft have repeatedly said they are going to offer the biggest jewel of this, or the biggest get of Activision Blizzard for them is Call of Duty. Um,
Boom,
Activision Blizzard makes all kinds of games. Blizzard in particular makes World of Warcraft. They make
Diablo.
StarCraft, Diablo. They make all that stuff. They make
Diablo 4 is
Hearthstone.
coming out next year.
Yeah,
The return.
Overwatch.
Yep,
All these big games. But the biggest thing that everybody's talking about is Call of Duty.
because
It's a $1 billion franchise
Modern Warfare 2, and the since it's been released, has made over $800 million, just that one game.
for this year.
Yes, just
Right.
and it came out in
Yeah.
October, November.
Yeah. So I mean, clearly that's the one that everybody wants. Phil Spencer and company have said, "Hey, we are willing to let these games be on other platforms."
Hmm.
Um, I think some of the issue that people are running into is when Microsoft bought ZeniMax, which owns Bethesda and all those other things, and they decided to make games like Starfield and Redfall first party exclusive.
Exclusive. Hmm.
And people are like, oh, they're going to make things exclusive. But what we have to go back to is Microsoft also bought Mojang, however you pronounce it, the people that make Minecraft. And that thing has been on every platform since. Microsoft has no intention of taking away from any other place.
Now, hold on, but here's a caveat to that, because I've heard that argument as well. Minecraft was always multi-platform, so it was one of those things of taking something that was already multi-platform, which might have caused a stink, versus Redfall and Starfield were brand new IPs. They had never been on any platform, and when Microsoft bought them, they were like, "Well, let's just hold this for us." I think
Sure.
there is a difference between those two things, and
R-
Minecraft had been. Minecraft had been everywhere. If you I think you can play Minecraft on this. So I the
Right.
idea
That's
was
my argument. My argument isn't that. My argument is the fact that it already has a multi-platform should be in favor for Call of Duty because it's the same thing.
true.
It's also multi-platform.
But here's the rub, and we have articles that we can cite. But basically, what's been going on is Sony has been seeding dissension, and I want to get this correct. But Sony has been talking to anybody who will listen to regulators in the U.S. and in Europe to block this deal, and so now the FTC has sued because they believe it's going to be an unfair advantage for Microsoft. Um, in response to that, which Microsoft has announced a 10-year deal with Nintendo for Call of Duty.
Hmm.
And a lot of people were like, wait, what? That's wasn't what we were talking about. Industry insiders and some articles have been written that said that this was a shot to take the air out of Sony's argument that says if we can put it on Nintendo, we've offered you this same deal. So your argument is mute.
Hmm.
I think it's interesting that they would put Call of Duty back on not I'm sorry, not the Switch, but back on Nintendo platforms because the last Call of Duty that was on a Nintendo platform, that's the last time a Call of Duty game. It was Call of Duty Ghost. That's how old and how
And when did that
long.
come out?
I believe that was a Wii game. This was I'm looking for the date on the box. I can look it up real quick.
I
But yeah,
mean,
that's how I think it's probably over 10 years old.
yeah. I mean, to me, the big issue are to me. I don't think that's crazy to find it on a Nintendo platform because again, you want to sell as much as you can. So we don't know exactly what the particulars of the game would be once it comes to the Nintendo platform. It may
Mhm.
be a streaming version. Nintendo has gotten really into streaming parts of their games
Like a
through
cloud game.
yeah through like a cloud. Like I think Resident Evil 7 probably does a cloud version, and there's a couple other games that do a cloud version, so they could do that. Also, the big thing we're not talking about is Call of Duty Mobile, which
Yes.
probably doesn't have as much processing power as, of course, the new games, but I'm sure that would run on a Switch pretty
Well,
well.
here's a good question about that because you brought up Call of Duty. I have the original. I have Call of Duty remastered right here. This was remastered for the PS4. This is 40 gigs.
Hmm.
Um, this is 25. Hold on, I want to make sure I have the. So this is 40, 25. This is the first Modern Warfare reboot. How big do you think this game is?
I don't know, 60 gigs.
Double that, and then add
Oh,
20.
for the.
This is 150 gigs minimum.
Mhm.
That's without the update. Um, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 is close to almost 200 gigs for that game. So we know none of these games are going on the Switch.
Right.
But the deal is for 10 years. And they just said Call of Duty will be on a Nintendo platform. They didn't mention the Switch because Pokemon Scarlet and
Violet.
Violet has just come out. Each of those games are 7 gigs, 14 combined. They don't run well on the Switch.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know what Call of Duty game they're talking about bringing because Call of Duty Mobile is 15 gigs.
Yeah, but 15 gigs, the size of I don't think is what is the issue so much as how it's optimized.
I think part of it is the size because I think you're right. It's not just the size. It is how it's optimized. But I think a lot of these games are getting bigger and bigger, and I think Nintendo has always been behind the curve when it comes to hardware. And the larger the games are, the more you're going to need storage, the more expensive these things are going to be. And Nintendo has basically said, we're not in that arms race. So I would really like to see what Call of Duty game they're talking about bringing to a Nintendo platform, which
Well,
was be
it
go
could
ahead.
be the mobile because Xenoblade Saga Chronicles 3,
Hmm.
before any updates, is 15 gigabytes, which you said would be the same size
Yep.
as Call of Duty Mobile.
Do mobile.
And Xenoblade Saga Chronicles 3, or not Xenoblade Saga, Xenoblade Chronicles 3 runs smoothly on the Switch. So I think with the right companies out to optimize it, I think it can run pretty well. But even for me, whatever system it is, the fact that they've offered this deal is big.
Hmm.
I think when Microsoft started talking about this stuff, and Microsoft also made a deal with, I think it was Steam,
It
talking
was
about they would also give them rights
because
to be able to buy Call of Duty.
ship
And
games and Gabe
Gabe Newell
Newell.
said, "Yo,
I
we
have it
don't need
right here.
this.
Yep.
We
We trust
you're a
you.
man of your word." Yeah,
Yep. Here's the actual quote. I have it right here. So Gabe, when the thing came down, um, we're happy that Microsoft wants to continue using Steam to reach customers with Call of Duty when their Activision acquisition closes, said Newell in a statement provided to Kotaku. Microsoft has been on Steam for a long time, and we take it as a signal that they are happy with gamers' reception to that and the work we are doing. Our job is to keep building valuable features for not only Microsoft, but all Steam customers and partners. Um, Microsoft offered and even sent us a draft agreement for a long term Call of Duty commitment, said Newell. But it wasn't necessary for us because we're not believers in requiring any partner to have an agreement that locks them to shipping games to Steam in the distant future. Also, Phil Spencer and the games team at Microsoft had always followed through on what they told us they would do, so we trust their intentions. And we think Microsoft also has all the motivation they need to be on the platforms and devices where Call of Duty customers want to be. Um, that's a clear. There's no way that quote and that statement is not used in this lawsuit
sure.
against the FTC. You have Gabe Newell from Steam. I would say
Valve.
one Valve. Thank you.
Yeah.
Who probably has the largest platform for video games. As when you think of a money
Honestly,
exchange,
I mean, if you want to talk about a monopoly, people might want to look at Valve and Steam, to be
I
honest.
mean,
But whatever.
and keeping and we're not even getting into what Epic and Apple and that whole 30% mob cut they got going on over there.
Hmm.
But you're right, Valve was like, nah, we don't need it. So now you have Activision who offered a 10-year deal to Nintendo, who can't even play any of their games basically. As of right now, Nintendo cannot play any unless you have a retro console like a Wii U. um, you can't play Call of Duty on any of the new. You can't play Call of Duty on a Switch.
Hmm.
Um, so you have a 10-year deal with Nintendo. They were offered. Valve was offered a 10-year deal, and Gabe was like, "Nah, man, we fam, got you." Sony's looking like some haters.
Yeah, it's interesting to me. I think the real winner of this, or the surprise winner of this, is Activision and Call of Duty. I think we all knew that Call of Duty was such a big force,
Mhm.
but both Sony and Microsoft have been buying up different studios and doing different acquisitions, and they kind of let it go. Nobody really raised a stink until this Activision thing came through.
Yep.
And part of me wonders, if I'm a Sony first party studio and I'm working on a first person shooter, does Sony think I'm shit? Like, do y'all think we can't compete with Call of Duty? Like, why are y'all not backing us so much? As, okay, you guys are
Yes.
giving all this love for Call of Duty, but like,
Yes.
we're working on a first person shooter. Y'all don't seem to give a fuck about that. That seems kind of
Yep.
weird.
Yep.
Um,
I'm telling you, Sony does believe that because if Sony believed that and here's the thing, Sony could easily reboot any of their FPSs to compete with Call of Duty, but they haven't. They have SOCOM, they have um, Resistance, Fall of Man, they have Killzone. That's three right there. You could go back to the well and see if you can reboot any of those. Um, Battlefield plays on PlayStation. I'm excuse me. I think exactly what you're saying is if you are working or made a first person shooter for PlayStation, for Sony, you have to be taken aback, but then you also have to kind of take that. Think about it like this: in the NBA, there are athletes, all of them are athletes, but then there are athletes who are above those
Superstars.
athletes. And then there are superstars and megastars.
Hmm.
I'm not going to call any names out. There's only one Giannis.
Hmm.
There's only one LeBron, and LeBron is falling off. He's not the man that he used to be. But if you're a role player, you're not in the same league
Sure.
as the best basketball player in the league.
Sure.
And Call of Duty is the best first person shooter
It's
for
the
a
most
lot of
popular.
people.
Yeah.
It for a lot of people, it is the best first person shooter based on the money. Um, because here's the thing, Halo used to reign supreme. I mean, people play it, it's popular, but it ain't Call of Duty.
No.
And I
No.
think Sony has an argument, but at the end of the day, their argument loses more and more weight as Microsoft keeps positioning itself to say, "Look, we're trying, we're trying to keep this." It was almost like we're watching a couple break up, and one
Hmm.
person is trying to keep the relationship going, and the other one is like, "Nah."
It's interesting whenever these type of things happen, whether it was the Apple and Epic thing or now it's the Microsoft trying to get Activision. You kind of get some of the inner workings in the game companies and how they do
Hmm.
things that you wouldn't normally get. There's an article, part of an article I'm going to read from IGN. This was done on the 14th of December by Ryan Dinsdale. IGN article that says in part, Microsoft President and Vice Chairman Brad Smith has said Xbox acquisition of Activision Blizzard is fair because PlayStation has significantly more exclusive games. As reported by Bloomberg, Smith said during an annual shareholders meeting that Microsoft would present Sony's dominant position in the market as one reason for why its $68.7 billion acquisition of Activision Blizzard should go through. The company will defend its colossal deal in court after the Federal Trade Commission announced earlier in December that it would seek to block it. So, I mean, right there, I think it's interesting. Normally, companies don't. They always try to put a spin on things if they're like in second place
Hmm.
or if they're not the dominant. But I mean, straight up right now, you got Microsoft's president saying, "Yeah, Sony has so many more exclusives. Even if we own Activision, they're still going to have all these exclusives." I
Because
mean,
let's
I think that kind of played out in the Game Awards too, with all the stuff
that
Sony was showing compared to
because not only
Microsoft.
that, look at what walked down the aisle at the video. God of War won game. I mean, you have two of
Hold
the
on,
biggest properties.
your audio broke up for a second. God of War did what?
Okay, God of War won game of the year.
No, no, no,
I mean,
no,
that's that.
no, no, no.
Sorry, Elden won game of the year. God of
Yes,
War
Elden
won
Ring won
six
Game of the Year.
awards.
Yeah.
Sorry. So what I'm saying is, Elden Ring won game of the year, but God of War walked down the aisle six separate times for a video game. Then you had to watch Death Stranding 2 be announced. Then Spider-Man 2 is coming down the pipe. Wolverine is coming down the pipe from Insomniac. 2 years ago, The Last of Us Part 2.
Hmm.
Then you have The Last of Us Part 1 that was just re-released on PS5. Um, I, I understand. I've never been a person who says that exclusivity is a bad thing, in my opinion, because I think each business should be allowed to do what they can to carve away in the market. Now, I know legally there may be some caveats to that, but I'm on record as saying I understand Microsoft buying all of these companies. I think you're right, totally right, that Microsoft and this fight with Sony makes Activision look really, really good because we have talked about at length, ad nauseum, about Activision's poor handling of sexual assault cases,
Hmm.
the way that they dealt with crunch, labor disputes. That's been a big thing that's happened recently. How they have not signed and they have been nickel and diming the labor agreement that they're supposed to have. Um,
They didn't want to recognize
nope.
unionization stuff. Yeah.
Hmm. And it was Microsoft that recognized them.
Hmm.
So it was really kind of forced Activision to get their act together. I'm not a I don't have a problem with it because but that's because I'm a person who would buy both consoles. I've usually bought both consoles. Um, and I've understood that that's how it we grew for those of us we grew up that way. Sega had its own console, Nintendo had its own console. You weren't going to play Sonic on a Nintendo. If
Hmm.
you wanted to play Sonic, you had to buy a Sega. If you wanted to play Super Mario Brothers, you had to buy a Nintendo. Nintendo has fiercely like a like a mother and her cub defended its IP.
Sure.
They have sued, taken down, do not cease and desist. If you emulate any, they catch you doing it. You getting a letter, you getting
Hmm.
a certified letter, and you might get sued.
Yeah.
Um, so I understand that this is a part of the business. Um, Part of me feels, and I love Sony, I love my PlayStation, but part of me feels Sony's being a little petty and they're trying to weasel some kind of sweet deal,
Yeah. I mean,
knowing.
I wonder if if this doesn't end in some type of deal where Microsoft makes an extended agreement with Sony so that Call
Mhm.
of Duty stays on there forever. And honestly, like to me, it just makes so much sense. Granted, Phil Spencer's way smarter than I am or I will ever be, but to me, it makes so much sense to not cut that money supply. Let you continue to
Nope.
run it. Just keep bringing that money
Not
in,
only
and
that,
they can make other stuff for us.
not only that, a 10-year agreement gives Sony an opportunity to make your own first person shooter. I
Hmm.
mean, you've made with Insomniac and Naughty Dog some of the best games. You have Uncharted, you have Last of Us, you have God of War. Put some of that genius know how to make you a Call of Duty shooter.
Hmm.
You can do that. My other thing to that is, and it goes back to your point that you brought up a while ago. I'm now one of your disciples in the sense of Game Pass is going to come is going to show up everywhere. That little app is going to be on smart TVs. That little app is going to be on the Switch or whatever Nintendo brings out later on down the line. That little app is going to end up on whatever Steam Deck 2 comes out. They may even optimize it to work on Steam Deck now.
Hmm.
Whatever Ryzen Logitech makes, and I think that is what Sony's actually scared of. I think Sony's actually scared of that Game Pass app and these first party titles going straight to that Game Pass because then why would I pay $70? Because I paid $70 for Callisto Protocol. Why would I pay you $70 for a game if I just buy Game Pass and it comes directly to the app?
Sure. Sure. I agree with that. I think it's, we talked a little bit about it here for like a few minutes ago, just talking about the, we know about the monetary compensation and the financial decision of getting Call of Duty, but we didn't talk about the well being of like the people working there and
Mhm.
how happy they seem to be about possibly being bought by Microsoft. So like if this deal does fall through, so does that just mean that Bobby Kotick now continues to have his job at a place where people don't want him to work anymore? So I mean, I wonder what when if the shoe drops, when the other shoe drops, what it would mean for Activision Blizzard if they aren't acquired by Microsoft. So
I
because
think,
they still got to deal with these lawsuits,
oh yeah,
of all that kind of stuff.
I think you talked about this, and I was of the mindset that says get rid of him, start with a
Hmm.
clean slate, and you said no, they go wait till this deal goes through because they need him to shepherd this deal. They've replaced certain people. Now, Kotick has not come out looking great. The last VP um, seemed to belittle some of the sexual assault accusations. And
Hmm.
then it came out later on that person didn't even write it. The email was crafted by Kotick. Um, so I'm of the mindset he should go
Sure.
because here's the thing. I think as gaming becomes more and more sophisticated and more integrated in normal life, I think people are going to be more and more strategic with their buying power.
Go get your
Um,
baby. Why your baby crying?
my wife is going to go get them. You're supposed to wait 5 minutes before you go in.
Okay.
You're supposed to wait. So here's the thing. What
With
I've
all my
learned,
kids, I went straight in.
you're supposed to wait 5 minutes before you go in, and
Uh huh.
then you're only supposed to stay a minute. You're
Okay.
supposed to wait to see if they self-soothe themselves. So I'm texting my wife. We're waiting at the 5 minute mark before one of us goes in.
Okay.
Um, um, hold on. See? Oh wait, there he goes again.
Yeah. See.
But I've been on the mindset he should go because all this bad press. I know the adage is all press. There's no such thing as bad press. There
Hmm.
is a such thing as bad press in this new world we live in.
And cancel culture, there's definitely bad press.
And to me, I don't call it cancel culture. I call it accountability culture because I'm gonna be honest with you. I have not bought Activision's Cold War, or Black Ops or whatever the last one was before Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, and I haven't bought two. The last one I bought is this one. I will wait till two goes on sale, or maybe I may pick it up used.
Hmm.
I only want to play the campaign anyway. I don't care about multiplayer. I don't care about dual XP, double XP, whatever that is. Um, and so I just told her to go get him. I don't care about double XP. I just want to play the campaign because I think the campaign is it. I think Call of Duty campaigns, for as short as they are and as interesting as they are, I enjoy them.
Sure.
I'd be willing to pay just for the campaign. If you made the campaign 40 gigs and you were like, hey man, it's $40 or 59.9, whatever, as long as it ain't $70, I'd be interested in buying that. But I will admit, Activision has left a bad taste in my mouth. I am a discerning gamer when it comes to buying certain games and supporting certain studios and certain people. I bought Callisto Protocol because it was made by Glenn Schofield.
Hmm.
I picked that up. I want to support his work and the people who made this game. Um, I do the same thing with physical media. If it's good, I will pick it up. I will buy it. And I buy a physical copy because you never know when the digital will disappear. Um,
Right.
so I'm one of those people. What I will say is, I think this deal is going to go through, but if it doesn't, expect heads to roll. Expect the entire command structure at Activision to get the boot. And I think it'll be nasty because I think part of what will cause
Well,
that deal,
who's gonna give them the boot?
the shareholders,
I feel like they tried to do that last time and it didn't work.
I think they didn't really want to do it.
Or maybe they
I don't think
stopped it.
I don't think they wanted to do it last time. I think they
Okay.
kept, because remember they kept him even after, was it the Washington Post? After all that information came out about, because remember, it wasn't just sexual harassment and sexual assault in Activision. Bobby Kotick was accused of sexual harassment and assault.
Sure.
So
This is the same reports of the Cosby room, right? With
mhm.
different like higher ups in Activision having a room for something like that. So I mean, yeah,
Not
it's
and not only that, that they knew about it,
right.
that people knew, and that they covered it up, and they did not want to address these things. And here's the thing: the more your name is in the news for not making video games, the worse you come off, and then the worse you come off, the more that stock price drops. And
Sure.
that's when people start getting mad because right now that company is valued at, for some people, it's valued at $69 billion. That company was valued anywhere from 72 to $75 billion a couple of years ago.
Hmm.
It's dropped, and
Sure.
it's dropped because of these lawsuits. So it's still $1 billion company. However, comma, it ain't the same $1 billion company. If they keep having these issues, and if that deal falls through, that
If the
stock price goes down.
I think what's going to be whatever comes out of this, I want to know what the next step is for Sony. Because is Sony then going to try and buy another company? Because I don't know what the company is you would compete with.
Square Enix,
Maybe.
lock up,
And
because lock up
if
Final Fantasy, never let it go.
well, then you have to wonder if they were to buy Square Enix and they get Final Fantasy, would they then give some sort of deal to Microsoft to be like, hey, you guys can have it for the next 10 years or
Yeah.
whatever, the same way you guys are going to give us Call of Duty, or
Mm-hmm.
would they just stop it altogether?
I
Because if
bet
you stop it
based
altogether, then you're like, wait a minute, now you guys are doing the thing you were accusing us of doing.
That's exactly what's going to happen. I think Sony is biding its time to see what happens with this, and then Sony's going to take a look at the landscape and say, because remember, WB Games was up for a little while, was like, hey, somebody buy us,
Hmm.
love us. I think you buy Square Enix, you lock up the JRPG side of it. You make sure that, because right now, and if you want to play a Western RPG, you have to buy an Xbox.
Sure.
You have to go to Microsoft. You want to buy a JRPG, you better come to Sony. And if Sony's smart, they'll make this deal. They'll look at the landscape and say, who do we need to get so that we can have a first party shooter on our platform that is unique to us? They need their own Halo, because I have a feeling that deal's going through. I don't think that deal's going to be stopped. So if that deal's not going to be stopped, and Microsoft has the opportunity to cut off that spigot, that faucet, what are you going to have to counteract that? Because they're telling you, we'll give you a 10-year deal. That's on the table.
Hmm.
It shouldn't take 10 years to develop a decent Call of Duty like shooter. And
Sure.
honestly, don't even shoot for Call of Duty. Just get you a Halo type shooter.
Well, no, I feel like you want a Call of Duty. You need something to compete
You
with
want a
it.
Call of Duty, but if you don't hit Call of Duty status and you get a Halo that's synonymous with Sony, that's not. I mean, that's not peanuts.
Right. Well, and like you said, they have those already, right? It's just a matter of rebooting them or bringing back another one. Because what are
Hmm.
we on, like Killzone 4 now or something? I guess it would be.
No, well, it would be Killzone, because the last Killzone was Shadow Shadow Marshal or something like that. Shadow Kill, I think. I had that one. It was for the PS4. It was one of the launch titles.
Hmm.
It was decent. It was a short game. They don't have it anymore. I mean, they have not done anything with the Killzone property in a while.
I
So
wonder if they're waiting for Gorilla to make another Killzone as opposed to giving it to somebody else. But Gorilla's like, yeah, we're gonna keep making money off this Horizon franchise for the time being.
I mean, it would be nice to see that game come back and that world come back. I think it's a very interesting world. I really did enjoy those games. I thought Killzone, even though they called it the Halo Killer, and I know it was all just CG trailer, I did enjoy those games. I really did. I thought the third one did a disservice because I really like those characters that you
Hmm.
had in the second game. So I'd really like to see that come back. Resistance Fall of Man is another one that should come back,
Hmm.
but who knows? But I mean, honestly, Sony, get off your ass, bring back SOCOM. Literally, you have a you remember SOCOM was the game before Modern Warfare came out.
Yeah, yeah. I think the issue though is finding that sweet spot, and people who know multiplayer first-person shooters better than me could probably explain this better. But I feel like the one of the things that people like about Call of Duty is the time to kill. I guess
Hmm.
that is a little bit. It's a faster shooter because I feel like SOCOM wasn't a fast
Well, I mean, it
shooter.
was PS2, so I mean,
Right, but
you
I just
can't.
mean in terms of I don't mean in terms of like FPS shooting. I just mean in terms of how long it takes for you to get to somebody and shoot them down in
I
terms of
think
like health and stuff like that.
because I think SOCOM was more of a, not real time, but more like Ghost
Tactical.
Tactical. It was more, you had your squad, you set it up, more Ghost Recon, more of that kind of stuff. But I
Sure.
mean, again, you have the means. It's just a matter of, what are you going to do to leverage to get your own franchise that is unique and synonymous with Sony. We know that you have certain franchises, Spider-Man, uh, Uncharted, Horizon. There are certain games that are definitely Sony centric. You have an opportunity. Microsoft is saying, we'll give you 10 years. That this gives you time to buy, create, put something out. And again, you Call of Duty didn't happen overnight.
Yeah.
Call of
And
Duty,
I think it's
Call of Duty,
interesting. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Call of Duty didn't happen overnight. It took decades to get it where it is now, to get it to be the juggernaut. Because remember, the original Call of Duty was what? World War II, you know.
Hmm. Yeah.
And then they brought out Modern Warfare, and that's changed the game. And that's what's so Sony has an opportunity to do the same thing. And don't think that you're going to have that instant hit overnight. Maybe make you and build your way up to that. Titan, perfect example, Titanfall, the first one. It was okay. It was decent.
Hmm.
Then Titanfall 2 came out. And from Titanfall 2, what did we get? Apex Legends.
Sure. Yeah.
So Sony, get off your ass.
For me, as we're talking about this acquisition of Activision Blizzard, and we talked about Activision, we talked a little bit about Blizzard. I think the thing that people aren't talking about, which I think is interesting, is Activision Blizzard also owns King,
Mm-hmm.
which means all of your Candy Crush sagas and all that stuff like that. Crazy mobile making money. I think it's, and I guess could people know better than me, but I know for a fact that has to be billions of dollars on the table just on the mobile side from the King stuff. So I wonder why that stuff isn't brought up by the FTC. Um,
Because that's not what Sony made the stink about.
Interesting.
You want to bring him here?
Yeah, bring the baby on.
Come here, Evan. You want to come here? You don't want to come here? Well, guys, Evan's called. He don't want to come over here. I was trying to get him on the stream, so I got to go take care of him. So we appreciate. We want to hear from you. Like, comment, and subscribe. Let us know what you think. Do you think Sony is being a hater? Do you think Microsoft should play nice?
Hmm.
Hey, look who it is. Hey, buddy.
Hey,
Say
buddy.
hi. Say hi. It's okay. Oh,
All
go back.
right, we're
Okay.
good. All right,
So-
later. It's fine.
Yep. So like, comment, and subscribe. Let us know what you think. Hit us in the comments.
We'll be back with live episodes
Yep.
eventually. We'll figure
Yep.
it out. Peace.
All right, man. We're out. Peace.